started here. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this morning. This is a special called meeting. First on the agenda is a public hearing. So now, we're going into public hearing, entering into the contract regarding the real property in Maiden.
Good morning. This is a stipulation of our application with the LGC that we hold a public hearing. We have to have this because we are making improvements to public property. Therefore, we're entering into a contract with the bank, and so we have to have, in case anybody in the community has something to add to that. So I don't know if I need to go into what I need to do here. This is my first rodeo.
So basically, this is an opportunity, as it goes, we voted on it at the last council meeting. We have the public hearing this council meeting. Next council meeting, it becomes finalized, you will have a third and final vote. Whenever you borrow money, you tie the town to a loan for X number of years. So LGC wants to make sure that there's plenty of opportunity for people to speak if needed. So that's what this morning is for. And out of their own mouth was no one ever shows up to talk to them. So it's just dotting the I and crossing the T at this point. And it's still, just give them, it's still 7.5.
Yes, yeah, so I'll just go over the terms of the loan. And this is all dependent on the final approval from the LGC on the September 12th meeting. We are financing $7.5 million at an interest rate of 4.98% for a 20-year term. And we will have the ability to prepay that loan in advance with little to no prepayment penalty should we choose to pay it off before the 20 years.
So little or no is like, it's still a significant amount of money, but in the general terms of the $7.5 million, it's pretty low. So it's standard, just like if you financed a house at this point. I think that's it, unless somebody
I got any questions or would like to speak? If not, public hearing is now closed. All right, financing for fire station, resolution 04-2024, approving financing terms of Truist Bank.
Just kidding, I'm back. In your agenda packet was the resolution approving the financing terms, and that just basically restates what I just said. The loan will not exceed $7.5 million with the annual interest rate not to exceed 4.98%, and that is for a 20-year term. Again, with final approval from the LGC on the September 12th meeting, and these rates were valid through October 23rd of 2023.
Again, this is needed. It does not tie your hands until the September 12th, is it 12th?
Yes, our
Meeting. That will be the final meeting when everything comes together. So, but this resolution is needed to be approved to move forward with the project.
So I'll move to approve resolution 04-2024 approving financing terms for Truist Bank.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion is carried unanimous.
Thank you.
Public power agreement. First off, Electricity's presentation by Kathy Moyer. Public power agreement.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Doing well. Happy to be here with you. I think we're gonna. Thank you. Y'all should have gotten a copy of the presentation in your packet, but I know y'all had a presentation given by Electricity staff several months ago now. And so now I'm just going to kind of be here to kind of provide you an update. I'll go through it fairly quickly, but if you have any questions, just let me know. We just have about 4 topics I'm going to go through, and really just the key to this will be the economics and the savings at the end to go ahead and get all 19 participants approval for this transaction. So again, Maiden is one of the 19 municipalities in western North Carolina that has ownership in Catawba Nuclear Station. But we have identified opportunities to diversify the power supply portfolio and right-size it. As you know, Agency 1 has surplus energy out of Catawba, much more than is needed to meet the Agency 1 participant load, to meet y'all's load. So we are proposing a 150 megawatt sale, which is about 18% of Agency 1's nuclear ownership in Catawba. Your Board of Commissioners, representatives, and your Board of Directors did approve the sale, and the central PPA was executed on June 5th. But there is a condition precedent that says that all 19 participants and their councils need to approve the sale as well, which is why I'm here with you, and your town attorney should have received a very large packet of information should you approve the sale. Just some background, and like I said, I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. We have been trying to diversify the power supply portfolio for some time now. We did go through an RFP process in 2011, 2012. We did try to pursue a 50% sale, but again, it just didn't work out due to natural gas prices increasing and different things like that. So this transaction is a little more conservative, only selling 18% or 150 megawatts. Again, this slide just shows you the ownership share and the other co-owners in Catawba Nuclear Station, which are the co-ops, Piedmont Municipal Power Agency, which is the municipal power agency in South Carolina. They have an ownership share along with the co-ops. Again, the license right now is expires in 2043. But Duke is seeking relicensing out to 2063 at some point in time, but the economics of this deal are only shown through 2043. This slide tells you a little bit about Central Power Cooperative, Electric Power Cooperative. I'm not going to go through that, just I think y'all have heard that before, but they are headquartered in Columbia, South Carolina. Again, the central proposal is 150 megawatts of Agency 1's Catawba output. There is a levelized capital payment that the 19 participants will receive. In total, it's about $56 million from 2024 to 2031. So we feel like that's a fair price and does help with we feel like it helps with the debt. Pay down the debt, so it is, kind of their ownership buying into the plant, so to speak. But they do pay their proportionate shares of expenses, so they will pay any type of associated expenses that come along with pay their share of decommissioning fund. And they'll contribute the same as all the Agency 1 participants going forward. So that's kind of an overview. Of course, the benefits really is to right-size the portfolio, and it does lock in some of our margins for surplus energy sales. If natural gas prices are high, we make a lot of money on the surplus energy market, but when prices are low and a little depressed, this sale kind of locks in some of that. Known for us that we can get some benefits out of our Catawba at a known price. So that's some of the benefits of that. Other considerations, we did put in some additional carbon constraints in there, the value of carbon as it rises, because nuclear is a carbon-free resource. So we did put some protections in there, and the uncertain cost of replacement power in the future. We will need to enter in some additional power supply contracts in the future to cover load, but we do have those now to meet our reserve margins. These slides you've probably seen before as well. It just shows when we are gonna need that excess capacity. So right now, we have a lot of excess capacity. When you look at the dotted line, that's what we project our load to be out into the future. So we do anticipate that we will, the purple shows the additional capacity needs that we will need, but again, it's just a projection, and so we'll look at that from year to year to meet that. After the sale, again, you can see we are right-sizing the portfolio, and again, still have the same timing, the same needs that we do out into the future. This, again, is just a load duration curve that we stress tested the sale on, just to make sure that we had enough energy to cover all the 19 participants' load at the time, and this just shows that we do. You see it after the sale where the additional peaking energy might be needed, but you can see with the green we are in very good shape. This is just the probabilistic case analysis that we did. Again, I'm going to kind of go through this pretty quickly. The next graph shows how we stress test this, and that the sale 98% of the time comes out where we have lower costs after the sale. So we did a lot of analysis just to make sure that we felt like this was a good recommendation, and we ran some different scenarios with higher natural gas prices, higher peaking costs, and of course lower Catawba costs, all out of this scenario. So that's really what this graph means. What everybody wants to see, and this is kind of where we're getting towards the end of the presentation, is for Maiden specifically over the course of 2024 to 2031, you all should see a projected decrease of $5.3 million in your costs over time. There is some slight cost increases from 2032 to 2043, but overall, for the life of the existing Catawba project out 20 years, you should see a decrease of about $3.5 million coming back to you all in Maiden. So that's that slide. Let me show you the next slide is more short term. So for the 2024-25 timeframe, you all should see a reduction of about $784,000. So that's a 16.3% decrease in the 24-25 timeframe, because we do anticipate that we will recommend to reduce the first demand block, which is your fixed Catawba block, that we would decrease that rate, and that's where the savings would come from. That's what's projected. Right?
Kathy, that's wholesale rates, correct?
This is wholesale rates, so that's exactly right. All I'm talking about right now is your wholesale power supply and your wholesale rate schedule, your wholesale power bill that you get every month. That's what will be affected. And then you all get that savings, and then you all set your retail rates based on your cost or your cost of service. So that's what's projected for Maiden. Again, competitiveness to make sure we're competitive with Duke Energy Carolinas. Some of the wholesale costs have been compared there. You can see with the red dotted line, that's what DEC's wholesale projections are anticipated to be, and then you can see before the sale, we're a little bit up there with them in the red line, but after right-sizing the portfolio and after the sale, you can see where we dip down. So your wholesale power costs are very, very competitive. This is the timeline. I'm going to swipe through this fairly quickly because today we're in Q3, so we did a lot of pre-work where people were out and did the initial visits, as you all have one several months ago. So this is kind of the timeline. The deal is set to take effect January 1st of 2024. And again, this is just the key approvals, and the action is that requested. So those are all the presentation slides that I have. Take any questions?
Is there any money that actually changes hands? I mean, will the Power Commission be issuing Maiden a check?
No, it'll all be
All
through
in
a
rate
rate.
reductions.
It'll all be through a rate reduction.
Okay.
Correct.
So it's important to know, from Kathy did the in North Carolina Power AC1, and how it affected Maiden on the wholesale rates. How it affects Maiden that we will see personally is, as we all know, cost of providing power is going up, material, transformers, lines, you name it, is going up. In fact, I just asked Brian, he said it was 80% over the last 3 years, transformers have went up. So, while I'm not gonna sit here and say we might not be able to reduce rates, most of this will help us offset our costs so we don't have to increase rates. It's important to distinguish that. We're trying to navigate ourselves and put ourselves in positions where this council doesn't have to increase rates for at least 5 to 6 years, maybe longer, depending on what happens in the market, and depending on a lot of things. But, we haven't had a rate increase, I believe, in 10 years. I'm looking at Jess. Somewhere in that time frame, and this sets us up so we don't have to have any going forward, barring, 5 ice storms and 2 hurricanes. I mean, stuff like that does happen. But, our main objective in doing this was to solidify our rate structure for the foreseeable future. And I know that's really good for residential, but it's really good for commercial and industrial, especially industrial. They like seeing stable rates so that it can forecast their means going forward, which that in turn means jobs, which means people can pay their bills. It's a circular effect. So that's the benefit that we're mainly getting. So if you saw that, some of those cities are getting $35–40 million. Good for them. They're much, much larger. So on a scale, it's roughly the same. But our carrot, if you will, is we will have a very stable rate structure for the foreseeable future. All right. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay, you got before you a resolution 05-2024, resolution in order to approve the power purchase.
I make a motion we approve resolution 05-2024.
Have a motion?
Second.
A second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion is carried unanimous. Ordinance 3-2024, approve the power purchase agreement by and between North Carolina Municipal Power Agency Number 1 and Central Electric Power Cooperative.
I'll move we approve ordinance 03-2024 to approve the power purchase agreement by and between North Carolina Municipal Power Agency Number 1 and Central Electric Power Cooperative, Inc.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion is carried unanimous.
Before you adjourn the meeting, I want to say thank you to Kathy. I know by my count, and I haven't talked to everybody, I want to say there's 9 or 10 municipalities having to do this in the next 2 or 3 days, and you're stretched kind of thin. So I really appreciate you driving in from Raleigh to be here at 8:30. That was our time slot. I think you're going to Lincoln or Gastonia next, but we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Move we adjourn.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. We're adjourned.
Who seconded it? Ronnie?